مساء الخير، اخباركم ايه؟ كل سنه وانتم طيبين. النهارده اللايف هيكون مع ماثيو جريدي. Matthew is an American photographer who lives in Morocco. النهارده هنتكلم مع ماثيو عن تجربته في التصوير بشكل عام in photography من اول ما بدأ لحد ما بدأ تجربته للتصوير في المغرب، ومؤخرا اطلق his website. فخليكم معانا، مستنية بس دلوقتي ماثيو يدخل. لحد ما ماثيو يبقى معانا هحاول اوريكم بعض الحاجات، الصور بتاعت ماثيو اللي صورها. طيب احنا دلوقتي مستنيين ماثيو. Hello.
Hello. How are you,
How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
الحمد
How
لله.
you
How are
doing?
you? Are you okay?
لاباس بخير.
الحمد لله الحمد لله.
How have you been? كيف دوز the confinement?
الحمد لله. It's very hard times of weekends. How did you deal with this? How do you deal with these hard times of Corona, of quarantine?
Honestly, I can't complain too much. I'm very grateful to have, my job, and we've been teaching online, so
Yes.
it's not my favorite way of teaching, but I can't complain. I have a job and my health, and yeah, that's all I can really ask for.
Yeah. So look, the positives of this problem we have, all of us face it.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I think for some people it's been a very tough time, and for others, I've definitely kind of focused more on some of my passion projects during the time. So
very interesting.
yeah, focused a lot. Actually, really more on getting back in shape. That's been the biggest.
Yes, I noticed some stories you post on Instagram. You practice sports from time to time.
Yes. Yeah. I've been working out almost every day during the confinement, the quarantine, because not that much else to do. But anyway, how have you been?
Very interesting.
I've been really interested. You've been putting up a lot of videos. It seems like that's cool.
Yes, it's a program I started 2 months ago. I think we make lives with many people from different fields. They talk about what they do, their experiences in their fields, and so on.
Yeah, that's
we
great.
had many lives, so I'm very happy to have you today.
Yeah, I'm thankful.
I think it will be a great live. As you know, you have a very good experience. Our experience in photography and teaching photography, actually. So we will talk about it. So, but actually, let's start with your beginning of photography. When did you decided that I'll take photos and share with people?
I guess that probably started around the time that I came to Morocco. I studied cinema in university, so originally I was more focused on trying to make a film and a documentary. But I came to Morocco as a volunteer for a program called Peace Corps, and when I got here, I realized pretty quickly it's hard to make a video, a documentary when you're living in a small town. It's a lot easier to take photographs, and I've always loved photography anyway. It just wasn't what I studied, and yeah, it just kind of was natural, like a natural transition from cinema and more of a filmmaking aspect to photography. And so that was when I started about 5 years ago, I think. 2000, January 2015 is when I started really focusing more on photography instead of cinema.
And actually, Morocco is a very rich country. I mean, visually, did you notice this? It's a very rich.
it's definitely a visually stunning country. I mean, any aspect that you think of, the landscapes, the culture, you know, even just the clothes are very colorful and full of really nice patterns, the architecture. So Morocco is a great country to kind of get started in photography.
So your start in photography was because of Morocco, because you are in Morocco, so you take this decision?
Well, yeah, I mean, again, I came to Morocco as a volunteer, and
yes, I know.
I was also doing it as part of my my master's program. I was supposed to make a short film about my service. It was a partnership between my master's and the volunteering program that I was doing. But again, like especially when you're a volunteer, you're trying to integrate, and you're trying to kind of earn the trust of the people you're living with. And it's hard to do that if you're walking around with a big camera, you know, filming all the time and stuff.
Yes, I'll tell you that Moroccan people are not familiar with the camera, actually.
Yeah,
yeah, no, don't take photos for us.
Yeah, in my experience, it kind of depends on the city. In some places, people welcome it. In some places, you know, sometimes people ask me to take their photos. But definitely, I've actually found more in the tourist cities. They don't like it as much. I think they get tired of a lot of tourists taking photographs. And so in places like, you know, Chefchaouen or Essaouira, or especially Fez, I've noticed a lot of people.
Many cameras, so many cameras there.
Yeah, I think, I understand it. I think they get tired of, you know, all of the tourists taking photos and stuff. But yeah, so once I kind of realized maybe making a documentary wasn't going to work out, I still was just taking photographs mostly for my own memories. But I started sharing them, and you know, people tended to like them, and that kind of encouraged it. So that was really kind of how I went from, you know, focusing on film to focusing on photography.
So photography, yes. And to post them with people. Before posting or before sharing them, do you think about the reactions of people when they will see these photos or these projects?
Yeah, I try my best. If I am going to post a portrait of someone, or, you know, someone that's, you know, you can tell that who they are, it's a close-up of their face or something, I always try to get their permission, or what I find the best way to do it is to get their contact information. And then you can send them the photograph through WhatsApp or email or something. And I think that's, you know, a lot more of an exchange, as opposed to just me taking their photograph, not giving them any credit, no benefit for them. I don't always do that, to be honest. I mean, especially with street photography, it's very difficult.
You couldn't find the people again.
Yeah, you can't stop every single person. But if it's a portrait, you know, something that I'm really featuring the person, I definitely try my best to you know, get their contact information and share it with them, something like that.
Yes, but especially in Instagram, you know, Instagram is a platform for likes. You know, did you focus, or do you focus on how many likes you get for any picture you post?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm human. I think
yes. We are all human.
Yeah, I think I do. Once I post it, I think about it, you know, and I definitely pay attention to the likes as they come and stuff. But I would say, generally speaking, that's not like my motive for taking photographs.
Yes, Instagram, very interesting.
Yeah, I think for Instagram, the thing I like about it is that it's, you know, it's just a place to share, and it's not like I'm making money from it.
Yes.
Maybe indirectly, right? Maybe someone looks at my photos and they might hire me for a job or something. But in terms of, I'm not. It's not like YouTube where I'm monetizing the accounts and making money off of how many likes or views or whatever.
Not directly.
But, yeah, not directly, exactly. So I like that about Instagram, and I do definitely think about, you know, when I'm posting things, I put a lot of thought into, especially more recently, I've been trying to focus on sharing photos in a series, as opposed to just one nice photo and another nice photo. And that's something that I'm working on now. I'm even thinking about kind of reposting some of my older photos in a series, because when I really started, again, I was just a volunteer, and I would just share it, you know, just kind of for friends and for family, and not really put as much thought into presenting it in a series with the message and the caption and everything. So
yes. Once somebody told me that if you are a foreigner in any country, you could work as an anthropologist. You know this. So you could see some things that the people of this country couldn't see or couldn't notice them. So you as a foreigner, you could see them.
Yeah.
Or did you have many or some things like this?
Yeah, I think I'm always telling some of my English students when we have a talk about culture shock. You know, that's one of the lessons that we kind of discuss frequently in our classes. And I think there are definitely things that, you know, for a Moroccan person, it's just normal, you know, it's everyday life kind of thing. And then, but it also goes vice versa. I know there are a lot of things I do that, or maybe I did so more when I first got here, and Moroccans might think that's very strange. For example, putting on chapstick. It was just coincidence. I had this next to me. Putting on chapstick. The first time I did this next to a Moroccan guy, he looked at me like I was crazy, you know, because I just put it on, and he just looked at me like, what are you doing? And I was like, what? You know, and he's like, that's something that women do, or
yeah,
you know, men don't do that, right? And I was surprised, but again, it really goes both ways. I think there's a point to that quote that you said. You know, I don't know about an anthropologist necessarily, but there are definitely things that I notice in the culture, in the conversation.
Also in the street itself, in the streets, you could see some things. For people, they see it every day and every day, so
exactly.
It's not strange for them.
Yeah. I think one of my favorite places here in Casablanca is the photograph, and just to go in general is the Medina. I was just there this morning buying, you know, groceries, tomato and luz and all that stuff, and I really enjoy. I've been going to the same vendors for almost 2 or 3 years now, and I really enjoy kind of learning their daily patterns. And I think they might think I'm crazy because I think it's super interesting when you see, you know, someone. I don't know. Like just today, I was wishing that I had my camera with me because I saw this guy carrying just this giant piece of like half a cow. You know, and he's just kind of walking through the streets with it, and there's blood dripping everywhere, and I'm used to that. But you know, there's always that kind of novel feeling that you get as a foreigner. That for the people here, you know, it's just everyday life.
Very interesting and very inspiring, actually, very inspiring.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's again, I think it'd be the same thing if you came to the U.S. or something like that. There are a lot of things that I might. You know, I would be totally used to, and you might find bizarre or just unusual, something like that.
Yes, I agree with this. Another experience for Matthew is the photography club, and for people who don't know about it, Matthew is a responsible of the photography club in the ALC, the American Language Center in Casablanca. He teaches photography professional photography for students, and share many other activities with them. So could you tell us about the beginning of the photography club? It was your idea or the ALC idea?
Well, yeah, so actually some of the members are here, and shout out to Fatima Zara and some of the others, you know, that are in the comments. I love the photography club. It's really my favorite part of teaching, and my favorite part of my current job. So it existed before I came to Casablanca. It was taught previously by an Australian woman named Kat Wilson, I believe. Kat was her name. And it was quite a bit smaller, and it was a little bit more lecture-based, and it was very good. I actually started going just, you know, to attend it just as a way to get involved with the school and everything. And then about the time that that was around the time I first started at the ALC, and she was leaving, and so I asked to take it over, and ever since it's been my favorite part of teaching. To be honest, it's gone through a lot. When I think about I've been teaching it for probably about 2.5 years now, and when I think about all of the different groups that we had, because students come and they go, and all the different personalities and the different styles of photography, and we've done some exhibitions, both
Yes.
smaller ones and ones with more photographs, and it's really great. It's really nice. I like teaching in general, but especially teaching something that I'm passionate about. It's something that I don't know. I just really enjoy it. It doesn't feel like work in that aspect, and especially now. I think the last year things have really kind of taken off, and we've been partnering with the ENCG photography club for that university. We did an exhibition with them, kind of partnering with them, really just before the confinement started, actually, and I think we have a lot larger group of students now. We have a more kind of committed group of students. We go on photo walks together, and I miss them a lot, honestly.
Yes, all of them are missing the classes.
Yeah, I can't wait to have the classes, and especially the photo walks. I really enjoy the photo walks the most, because you really get to get out and practice, and we're taking portraits of each other,
and then discuss the photos and discuss what we have seen.
Right. Yeah. It's because when I teach the classes, it's usually at night. In the ALC, we don't have a set of studio lighting or anything like that, so it can be hard to kind of practice what we're learning. It's really nice to be able to get out into the community. We've gone to the Medina, we've gone to Hobus, we've gone places we weren't supposed to. There's one time we went to the port and ended up finding out that we we shouldn't be there without permission, basically, to take photographs and stuff. But no one got in trouble, nothing happened, it was fine. But it's really it's a great group of students, a variety of ages, a variety of skill levels. Some people have cameras, some people don't. So yeah, and of course that's how I met you as well. So I really
yes, I was a member.
Yeah, of course, and that's that's something I've really appreciated about it. It's really expanded my social circle. It's introduced me to people, that I probably wouldn't spend that much time with or not really get to know without it. So yeah, it's something I really, really enjoy and am passionate about.
Very inspiring. But actually, did you have any problems with people after you take photos? Like people who say, "Why did you take my photos?" Like that.
I've definitely had a few times when I mean, not with the club. I've never had problems with club members.
No big problems.
No, nothing like that. But shooting, it's just bound to happen in Morocco. You're going to take a photograph, and honestly, most of the time that happens, I'm not even focusing on the person who thinks I'm taking their photograph. I remember one time outside of Chefchaouen, I was taking a very wide panoramic landscape shot, and these guys were kind of like smoking behind the bed, and like I think they didn't want me to photograph them smoking, or I'm not sure what, but the guy came over and he insisted on actually seeing the photograph. So as soon as I showed him, look, there's no one, you can't even see you, you're just a tiny speck, he was okay with it. Other times, people get suspicious. I was just out with one club member, Yahya. He's one of our kind of like most devoted or committed students. I was shooting with him over in between Petit Noir. It's a neighborhood. I think it's Petit Noir. No, Rocher Noir. That's it. Rocher Noir. We were out shooting there. I just started shooting this canoe. It was closed. There wasn't even someone in it. The guy comes over and he asks, "What are you doing? Why are you photographing my canoes?" he thought I don't know what he thought I was doing, but you know, once you explain, and I just tell people I'm a teacher, I'm not.
They accept, yes.
Yeah, they generally they're generally fine with it. But, yeah.
So when you start to take photos and share them, do you think about your inspiration? How did you get inspired usually?
Yeah, I think. I mean, I really think that every environment, every scene, every photograph, it has its own set of circumstances, its own, you know, and that's something I'm kind of learning to adopt more, is changing my lenses, not just committing to one lens at a time. But really, I'd say my overall inspiration is just trying to photograph something beautiful, especially in places that a lot of people would not find beauty. And maybe
Yes.
that's kind of like related to what you said about, you know, foreigners being an anthropologist or something. I've never thought about it as anthropology, but I have had that thought before, that some places that, because I think that's just part of being human. I think we habituate to things very quickly, and we get used to things that we see every day. So maybe something that a lot of people might not find that interesting because they see it every day. Those are the things that I really try to find some composition that brings out the beauty of the scene or of the building or the person or something like that. I would say that's my most consistent inspiration. Lately, I've been doing a little bit more kind of portrait work, or a little bit of conceptual photography. That's a different kind of inspiration. That, you know, that's you're envisioning it in your mind and trying to recreate what you're envisioning. But most of the time, I'd say it's really just I'm out on the street, walking somewhere, or shopping, or something like that, and if I see something beautiful, I try to capture it. You know, I try to find some composition that really highlights what it is that I find beautiful, and yeah, it's not, you know, it doesn't always work. Sometimes, you know, technically speaking, sometimes you don't have the right lens for that. I think, you know, sometimes it just never translates to the camera the way you see it with your eye. But that's my general inspiration, I guess.
But actually, it's very interesting to get inspired with the place itself. You know, from the place you get your inspiration.
Yeah,
it's very interesting.
Well, to be honest, I think that's a big part of street photography. I think that that's one of the hardest, but also the kind of the most beautiful parts of street photography, is that you are not creating the scene. I'm not hiring a model, you know. So a lot of times my favorite shots in street photography is I'll find the scene that I like, you know, some street that I really like the look of, or just some composition that I enjoy, and then I wait for someone interesting to come into the photograph, and that, you know, it takes time, it takes patience.
Yes.
You have to kind of look like a crazy person. Sometimes, you know, there's definitely been times where I'm just standing on the street in Casablanca or in the Medina, just like waiting. You know? And people like walk by looking at you. What are you doing? You know, and sometimes, you know, if it's a really good composition, it's really something that that I want to capture, I might wait there for, you know, 10, 15 minutes, just waiting for that right person to come into the shot. But you know, other times it is an individual. Maybe I might see someone who's very interesting looking, but that's really more when you're getting into portraiture and not so much in your street photography.
Yes. So now let's look again to some of Matthew's photos. It's on his website, MatthewGrady.com. So here, as you see, it's some of Matthew's photos. Where is this place? This photo where it was?
That photograph that you just saw in the mountains, the name is Ula Delhi Yusuf, and I'm actually going back there this week for Eid. I'm gonna go. It's a mountain village close to where I was a volunteer in the east, close to Utat al Hajj, and
Yes.
I'm going back there. I'm actually very excited about it. It's been almost 2 years since I've been, and I called my friend who lives in the Douar there in Oulad Ali Yusuf. I asked him, you know, see how he's doing. He told me to come for Eid. So Wednesday, I'm taking. It's a long trip from Casa. It's
Yes.
it's like a 4-hour train to Fez, 5-hour taxi from Fez to Otat El Hajj, and then another hour taxi into the mountains. But I'm really excited about and I mostly just to see the people, but also I'll
Yes.
definitely be taking my camera. It's a very, very beautiful place.
Here, I think it's Al Hubus.
Yep, that's in Hobos. That's one of my favorite places in Casablanca to photograph. Also,
This photo.
yeah, that is also, yep. That was actually from a photo walk with the club.
Yes.
One of the photography club photo walks that we did was in Hobos, and those photos they're kind of from over the last 5 years. Some of them are from my time as a volunteer. Some of them are from my time here in Casablanca. But they're all genres, all varieties, because I think that's
in many different places, not just in the same city. Yes.
Yeah, those are from all over. I mean, the woman with her face covered, that was in a douar of Gomima. I have the name written down somewhere, but and she was actually an artisan. Like she made the object that she's holding, and so that was actually product photography. Some of those are
this photo to people who are listening. This photo.
Yeah, exactly. So she was an artisan, and she made the product, like the basket on her head, and also
she made this basket. Yes.
Yes, and also the thing that's covering her face, the black clothing. I can't remember what it's called. It has like a special name in Gomima, but they sell those products on a website, and they asked me to take some product photography.
Yes.
So
very
those
interesting.
photos, they're really from all over Morocco, but most of them are from Casablanca or from what's it called? Otat El Hajj, like that one right there is from Otat El Hajj from my time as a volunteer. But really
this photo is one of my favorite photos for Matthew, actually. I don't know the reason, but it's one of my favorites.
No, to be honest, it's my favorite of Morocco that I've ever taken. I have.
This is a woman here, and you see the place.
Yeah, I think I can.
It's like a magic. I think it's like a magic.
I think I can show you the full photograph. I guess that's a little bit. So it's a little bit hard to see. I've never done this live thing before, but yeah, that's actually my favorite photograph that I've taken in Morocco. So you have some good taste. And the story behind it was just I was on vacation in Jadida. It was my first time in El Jadida, and I was in that place. It's called the Portuguese cistern, the ancient cistern or whatever in the old Medina of Jadida. And I was just walking around. I saw that woman in her jalaba, like the color really fit so well in the composition of the photograph. But it wasn't planned at all. It's just one of those moments where you just turn, take the photograph, and then, I didn't even know at the time how much I would love the photograph. It's just, something that later on I discovered, and yeah. Yeah, actually, I have, I didn't know if you wanted to see, I picked kind of a lot of them you've already shown, like these are from Utat El Hajj. And I'm planning on re-releasing these, or reposting them at least. I edited them, and I would really like to do 3 photographs of this woman. Her name's Sarah, and she was a Tibarida, you know, writer in Tat Al Hajj. And I think, did I have, yeah, here's another one of her. Again, I'm sorry, you can't see it that well, but it's just, again, one of those moments where you just, you don't expect it. They told me there was a Tibarida festival, you know, Fantasia, and I just kind of showed up with my camera, not knowing what to expect, and she's awesome. She's a really cool person. She's, you know, really fierce, and really thinks that sport should be made more available for women, and so I would like to do. I'm planning to post some of her photographs with. I'd like to get a quote from her. I was actually just talking to her to ask if she'd like to write her own quote, or if she would want me to kind of write something about the experience. But yeah, honestly, those are my favorite photography moments in Morocco, are the ones that you're not expecting. You're not, you know, it's not a planned shoot or anything like that. You just stumble on something, you meet someone, and the next thing you know, you're taking photographs that I really love, you know, and I think that's what's most important.
Very interesting. And actually, there's something I want to ask about, is the editing. After taking photos, you do editing. You edit it. Yep. So tell us about your editing process for any photo you take.
Sure. I mean, generally, so first of all, I use Lightroom. If it needs heavy editing, I might open it in Photoshop and then import it back into Lightroom. But generally speaking, I don't use Photoshop. I only do that if it's some kind of portrait or something that, you know, I need to remove an objects from. But so the process, I tend to take a lot of photographs. I'm not one of those photographers who thinks like you put, you know, 10 minutes into one shot and it has to be the perfect shot. I tend to more, you know, if I see something, I like it, I do the settings, I take the photograph, and then I just keep taking photographs, because especially with street photography, you know, you might catch an expression or a movement or something that, you know, you weren't expecting or was better than the previous photograph. And so I take a lot, first of all, and I'll start importing them. I go through, pick my favorites, and then yeah, organize them. Once I have kind of picked my favorites, I tend to try and edit the ones with the similar exposure at the same time, because you can copy and paste the edits that you make. So for example, you know, once I make the adjustments for the exposure, for the contrast, for the, you know, the color temperature, the highlights, the split toning and everything, I'll just copy those settings and paste them on other photographs with similar exposure. And I find that's a lot easier than...
Yes, it saves time.
Yeah, it saves a lot of time. Yeah, because...
Yes.
And, you know, even if I copy and paste it, I will still make a few fine-tuning, some further adjustments. But if you try and sit there and edit every single photograph from the start, you know, with every control, it's just too time-consuming, you know. And sometimes I think that I need like an editor to hire one or something like that, because again, I have a lot of photographs, especially from when I was a volunteer. I was just taking so many photographs, and a lot of times I kind of wasn't that good at keeping up with the editing, and that's why recently I've been sharing some photos that are 4 or 5 years old. Is because I never really got around to editing them, especially when I was a volunteer, because that wasn't a big priority at the time.
You deal with the editing as it's important as the photography itself. Do you have this idea?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it depends on the kind of photography you want to do.
Yes.
You know, some people do really heavy editing in Lightroom, and they use, you know, focus stacking and really edit things heavily. and that's great. I mean, it really just kind of depends on the look that you want. But I think, especially because I lean towards more documentary photographs, I think I edit them a decent amount, but I think the photograph itself is a lot more important. I think that I would say, like, if I had to put a number on it, 60-40, you know, something like that. The photograph is 60 or even 70% of how important it is, and then because the editing for me is just kind of, you know, just making it a little better, you know, making the colors a little deeper, or the shadow, you know, whatever it is that the photograph needs
to have the photo to be better than the before.
Yeah, but for me, composition is definitely the most important. You know, composition is what makes or breaks a photograph. And you can have a photograph of anything and you can Photoshop it and make it look great, but if the composition's not there, if the content isn't that interesting, then, you know, maybe you're just looking at another beautiful sunset, but you've seen, you know, a million beautiful sunsets like that because of how common it is, you know, to Photoshop and to edit and everything. So
it's very interesting. But actually, Matthew, I want to ask you about, do you think in photography as an art, or it's something is different, not an art, just to take photos and post them?
I mean, I think that's a hard question. I think it depends on the kind of photography that you do and, you know, what your purpose is. Like, but yeah, I think fundamentally, I think it is an art. I think that even for people who say it's just capturing reality or something like that, I think that when you think about how technical a photograph is, if you're really sitting there and adjusting your aperture, your shutter speed, you know, those are artistic decisions no matter what, like how deep you want your depth of field, how much motion blur you want to show. I think those are fundamentally, you know, artistic decisions, and even just the composition of a photograph is in itself somehow artistic. You know, if you're following the rule of thirds or following some other, you know, compositional technique, I think that yes, photography can be a way to either, you know, cover news events or something like that. But even within that realm, the photographs that are going to be published or most commonly published have great composition. They have an artistic quality to it, and I think. But, you know, of course, if you're just taking selfies to share with your family or something like that,
it's not an art.
Well, it's its own kind of art,
just
right?
for
like,
fun, just fun.
I mean, it's you know, it's your own kind of art, but yeah, I would say at the core of it, photography is an art for me. I think so, at least.
Very
but it's also
inspiring.
definitely a science as well. You know,
yes.
it takes time and reading and you know, making mistakes and everything to really understand the mechanics of the camera and how that will translate to your artistic vision. So
interesting. So for people who are watching us, so if you have any questions for Matthew, just write it in the comments and Matthew will answer it. So if you have any questions, you could answer. And you could ask, and then Matthew will answer them. So Matthew, what is the best advice you give for your students?
Fake it till you make it, I guess. I don't know if you've heard that expression before, but I think a lot of people get intimidated about, oh, I don't have enough followers, or I don't have a good enough camera, or,
it's
you know,
it's all of our problems. It is followers, not have more likes.
So I would say that is not that shouldn't stop you from posting what you like, what, you know, photographs that you've taken. I think that, you know, what's most important is take a photograph that you like. If you don't like it, what's the point? You know, even if someone else tells you it's a great photograph or something, I think you really should be trying to please yourself more than anything. And I'm not saying that in a selfish way or you know, not to totally ignore other opinions, but if you're just posting for the sake of your Instagram identity or, you know, your persona or something like that, I think you're going to kind of burn out very quickly. And I think at the same time, you know, everyone is afraid of, oh, I don't have a good enough camera. Like I've had so many students tell me that in the photography club. Teacher, I don't have a camera. I like photography, but you have a phone. You know, some of my favorite photographs that I've taken or that my students have taken have been with camera phones, and especially with, you know, with how easy it is to edit them now. I would say just start doing it. Start calling yourself a photographer if you're posting photographs that you like, and yeah, I would say that would be kind of, because, you know, no one starts as, no one goes from like a novice, someone who's a beginner, and then suddenly just becomes, you know, known or respected, or I mean, I think it's really just a process of like, you know, learning what you like to take, the kind of photographs that you enjoy, not trying to imitate and just take photographs that you think other people will like, but finding something that you enjoy taking, finding your niche, your style, and then just going with it. You know, if you post them, if people like it, that's great. If they don't, that's their business. And then, you know, then with time comes the networking and the money and all that stuff. And by money, I'm not saying that I make much money from photography, because I don't. But I make enough that I'm happy about it, and you know, it complements my teaching in a good way. And honestly, like for me, I'd say the most satisfactory thing that has come from my photography is the fact that I'm teaching it now. Because yeah, because no, I really mean it. I love teaching, but teaching photography is just, it's like, you know, it doesn't feel like work, because it's teaching something you love. You get to see your students, you know, you see their improvements.
Are passionate about something. They don't take certificate or don't pay money for it. They just passionate about it.
Right, and that's another great thing about the club, is it's free for ALC students, and, you know, there's no pressure. It's not like they're you know, paying money.
No, it's
like
not.
That.
Yes.
Right, and I really love that, because it's just coming from a place of passion, and also it makes me a better photographer, to be honest. Like I can't tell you how many, maybe some of the students will laugh at this, but there have been so many times that a student has asked me a question and I don't know the answer. You know, they ask me like, teacher, you know, what is this? And I'm just like, oh, we'll talk about that next class. And then, you know, I go and I read about
you
it.
Learn and share your, yes.
I learn it, and it makes me a better photographer. It really does. I think that more than anything, teaching this club has improved my photography and definitely my knowledge of photography in a very significant way. Both from making me learn things so that I can teach it, and also just students sharing tricks that they know, things that they've learned. I really appreciate that, and I really enjoy that part of the job.
Very interesting. So Matthew, thank you very much for sharing this information with us.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.
Share your time. So the live will be saved, so everybody could watch it again in my account. And as I told you, every week we have a live with somebody. So thank you, Matthew, and thank you for all people who are watching us today. Good night, and see you very soon.
Sounds good.
I
wish you the best.
Wish you the best, Matthew. Thank you very much.
And Eid Mubarak. I know it's a little early, but
Eid Mubarak. Eid Mubarak Saeed.
Ameen. I
mean, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good night.
Yeah, let's take care. Good night.
Good night.